from the Wild Wind Boat Park, and well done for everybody who's made it here already. Nice to have you on board at this new time, which I have to say straight away is far superior to the previous time. It is an absolutely crackerjack day here in Vasiliki. We've got wall-to-wall sunshine. It's probably, I don't know, it's probably somewhere in the region of 22 to 24 degrees. The wind is light and southerly, so onshore wind, and it's just generally pretty nice. So there we go. But yeah, we've got lockdown here now in Greece, as I'm sure a lot of you've got in wherever you are, and which means at the moment I'm not meant to be going out on the boat, which is a shame. So I'm actually going to take this bad boy to the winter boat parking storage facility. This bad boy, I hear you cry, what are you talking about? This bad boy, here it is. Yeah, it's a shame you haven't really been out. Hi, 5150, nice to have you on board. And everybody else who is joining us right now, nice that you could make it. Hi, Robin. Hi, Pano. Kalimera. Yeah, so I can just, while we're just tuning in, I could just show you some of the mounts I've got on here. This is the world famous... Hi, Sean. Welcome to the live stream. I say world famous, it's world famous for me. This is the facility. Hi, Kush. Hi, Sean. Hope this time's working for everyone. Hi, Jason. Liking the new time. Yeah, it's working for Jason. Whereabouts are you, Jason? You in the US, perchance? That would be my guess, because most people are. But yeah, this is the bridle mount that I use. It's just bolted through the chain plate. Australia. Oh, nice. Cool. Fantastic. I think we haven't had much Australia on board, because I dare say previous live chats have been in the middle of the night. Yeah, so that is the one for the bridle wires. And then this is the hardcore mount only for professionals, where we've got a bit top section of a windsurf mast, sort of agriculturally strapped to the front beam, and that end to the dolphin striker, which is giving it a bit of angle. Hi, Rich in Mallorca, managing to get out in the afternoon. Very light lockdown. Very nice. Ran for the bus to get home early from college. Nice one, Ewan. I'm glad to have you on board. Glad you made it. Yeah, so then we've just got the old GoPro doodah on the end of this, and security ropes everywhere on everything, because you do not want to be losing a camera at sea or anywhere else. Hi, Jason. Yeah, originally from the UK, Cumbria, now Sunshine Coast. Loads more champagne sailing. Nice. And I hope that in Australia you are allowed to go out still. You haven't got any of these regulations saying you should not go out on the water. You know, I could probably sneak out and hope for the best, hope that there won't be anybody waiting for me when I get back in. But I've had, as you may have seen from all of the videos that have come out this summer, when you've had so much of the really good stuff, is it worth getting a juicy fine? Oh, that's great, Jason. Nice. Hi, Rodrigo. Can you show how to correct align the anchor pin on the shroud? Hi, Frank. Hi, I've got to go to work soon. Okay, so this new time clearly isn't working quite so well for everyone. Yes to Australia, not so good for Canada. Nice. Oh, yeah, so I was just saying that after having so much very high quality sailing through the summer, is it worth going out in... It would still be a lovely day out there, but hi, Kurosh from sunny Dubai. Nice to have you on board. Wow, we really are hitting the corners of the globe today. with this new time. I think it seems popular. Yeah, is it worth going out in very light conditions when there could be a juicy find waiting for me when I get back in? I think probably not. I know everybody's hungry for more stuff on Joyrider TV, but I'm going to start going through the archives to start putting some stuff together. If you're on Instagram, you may have seen I've just been throwing some clips onto Instagram. Perhaps these multi-cam videos that I've been making, you may have wondered, or you may not have wondered, what happens to the footage from the other cameras that we don't see when it goes to the footage from, let's say, camera 2. Where's the footage from camera 1? I want to see what that looked like. Then that's what I've just been doing, little bits on Instagram, some fairly juicy stuff on there, so worth a look. Total Joyrider on Instagram if you want to have a look. Okay, so Nicolay, are you following the Vendée Globe? No, I almost watched the start, but it kept getting delayed. I think they had quite a heavy fog, and because of the delay I didn't get to watch the start, so I haven't really been following it. I should probably have a look. I dare say there's some good coverage on YouTube, if not somewhere else. All right, so I think Rodrigo asked, can you show how to correct align the anchor pin of the side shroud on a Hobie 16? Well, funny you should ask. The one boat I've got here is a Hobie 16. Let's flip this round. And here we are. Here we have started developing some strange marks on the hull. I'll try to sort that out. Let's just pull back the cover. Opa. Okay, we've got a juicy amount of tape on there. So these shroud anchor pins should be, it is worth checking these every time you go out by twisting. So if you just grab here and twist it to make sure it's not loose. If I twist it the wrong way, yeah, so hold on. Multicam, yeah. All right, hold on. If everyone could bear with me for a minute here, I'm having to reposition. All right, yeah, there we go. So what we want is this anchor pin to be kind of like side on. Let's see if I can get that round. All right. Yeah, so it's side on so that then this can go backwards and forwards. And then the reason we're using this part of the let's take the tape off so we can see what we're talking about. The reason that we use these, what I like to call twisty bits, is so that as well as that being able to pivot forwards and backwards when it's loose, it can also pivot sideways as well, which means you're not going to have any sort of jarring of the metal pulling in the wrong direction. So there we go. That is how you should orient it. But definitely every time you go out, just give this a twist. Make sure that the anchor pin is tight, because it can loosen off, especially if you're sailing in a heavy sea. What you could do before you put your mast up is, with the rigging not attached, take an adjustable spanner to the shroud anchor pin and use that just to get a little bit of more purchase on there, and that means it's definitely not going to come loose. Happy days here again. All right, so there we are. So this is the trick shot, is getting the cover down, because of course the clevis pins stick out a little bit, so it is reasonably painful to put the cover back down. There we go. Definitely need new tape on there for the next time. I've often thought, is the tape that we put underneath these covers actually necessary? And I've also often thought, well, I'd hate to find out the hard way, so I've often thought I'll just put more tape on there. That'll be fine. All right, so there we are. So I'm getting back to headquarters here. Where are we? All right, hello to everyone who's just tuned in. Joe here from Joyridertv, live from the boat park. Glad you could make it this new time. Hope it's working out. It's certainly working for me. It's a lovely day here at the moment, and it has been all day actually. All right. So CAD cam, 8 AM on the east coast of the US. Wowzers, that's a good time to be talking about sailing. We'll watch this afternoon. Need to get back to work. This is the best cat channel on YouTube. Yeah, that's what we're talking about. I'm very glad to hear that. And at the moment, I've been going through some sort of emotional turmoil because I've gone from putting out at least one video every single day for, I think it was for a good 4 months during the summer, to basically only doing this question and answer and show us your cat, which makes me feel that I'm not giving enough on the Joyrider TV YouTube channel. But I hope that everybody feels there's enough to dig back into in the archives to keep them going until April, when we'll start getting back into it thick and fast. All right, scrolling back. Frank, can't afford a Hero 9. Would you recommend a Hero 5? Hero 5's good, but if which one was the real the first upgrade? Oh yeah, so I would say if you can stretch to a 7, because the 7 is the first one. So sorry, just to fill everyone else in, what Frank's asking here is he wants to buy a GoPro, but the new 9 is quite expensive because it's the new one. But of course there is a whole archive of different models of camera to choose. I'd say the big advancements in the technology came with the 7. The 5 was the first one that didn't need an external case, which was good for getting sound if you're out on the water. But the 7 was the first one with built-in stabilization, and that is an absolute game changer. I'd go for the black one, because the black one, you've just got a few more options. If the price difference isn't so much, but having said that, if the white Hero 7 white does 1080 at 24, maybe 30, maybe even 60 frames per second, and has the built-in stabilization, then that is everything that you need to take on the boat. But if it's just a difference of a little bit more for the black, you might as well go black, because there's a few more features on there which you may find useful as time goes on. So you might as well spend a little bit more just now. Very good. Good questions there, like GoPro questions. I do feel that having been making all of these videos, I've become a bit of, I know about GoPros now. If anybody's interested, I will get to your questions, by the way. I'm just really happy to be here at the moment. What I'm running at the moment is I've actually got a 4 GoPro quiver on the go. I've got a Session, which I haven't got any of them with me, which is the small one, which is like a cube. I got that one because it was really cheap, and it's waterproof, very good. And that's the one that I'll put in the position where it's going to get really nailed. So maybe on the bow or something where, and then I've got the 5, which is good. But I've got my, if you watch the capsize 7 ways video, my 7 actually died during that video. It had some sort of big meltdown, but this is the breakthrough. I went to GoPro customer support and they gave me a new one on warranty. Woohoo! Yeah, so I've now got the 7 And while the 7 was broken, I bought an 8 as well. And the 8, the stabilisation on the 8 is absolutely incredible. Oh, there we go. That's a better view, isn't it? Well, it's for me anyway. Yeah, all right, so back to the questions. I'll stop talking about GoPros for a bit. All right, scrolling back. Kurosh, which wind forecasting app do you find more accurate? Yeah, I use Windy. Windy's really good actually, especially if one of the great features on Windy I think it's actually on the website and not the app. So if you're on your phone, just get the website on your browser and use that. And then on the website, you can look at the satellite picture for what the weather has been doing in the last hour or 2 hours or half a day. And by looking at what the weather's been doing previously in a satellite picture, like a video, that gives you quite a good, that gives you a very good way to find out what it's going to do in the near future. So especially if the weather's bad, like you've got some clouds, maybe some thunderstorms, and you want to know if it looks like you're going to be able to get out at all, on Windy you can look how these thunderstorms have been forming, where they've been coming across, and then you can look at if there's still more coming in the future. So that's very good. Okay, I see. Yeah, so Ewan says Windy app does that, but not an animation. Yeah, on the website version, it just I just prefer it to the app at the moment. But what I generally use here is I will look on Wind Guru, which gives a very rough this is what the weather's going to do. And if anything on Wind Guru looks out of the ordinary, then I'll have a look on Windy. There we go. Or if Wind Guru's saying the weather's going to be bad and I'm not happy with that and I want to find a forecast where it says it's going to be good, then I will look everywhere. Nice question. It's good that we're still getting new questions after doing these question and answer sessions for quite some time. I think we started doing them, maybe it was when we were building the boat back in, maybe it was April. Sorry, we've got some bad cameraman kind of skills going on. Okay, CAD cam, multicam. Yeah, we've been doing some multicam. I don't know if you've been seeing the multicam, but the multicam has been strong this year, definitely. And yeah, one that I didn't use enough. Sorry about the shaky screen thing. I'm just trying to get into a position. Okay, we're back in the sort of shadowy, there's the sun kind of thing. Unless I sit right there. Okay, yeah, so one of the multicam shots that I haven't been doing enough of is the masthead view, which I think is pretty glamorous. And the reason I haven't been using that one so much is because, of course, to get the camera at the top of the mast does involve a little bit of preparation. So it's a bit more time consuming and you're a bit more restricted on the ability to move that camera once it's there. Okay, Kurosh, what about live tracking apps, Race QS, other, which is the best one for instant feedback to use as you sail on board? To be honest, I haven't used anything like that at all, but but the one I've heard of is Race QS, so that must be one of the leaders. But what I just started touching on towards the end of this summer was using Strava, taking the phone on the boat, using Strava, and then you could get a really good idea of where you've been, what your angles have looked like, and some stats for your sailing session. So I use Strava on the bike all the time, so that has been good. but I haven't used anything else. All right, scrolling back. Oh, hi Matthew, good to have you on board. Rodrigo, thank you, Joe, you're the man. Yeah, thank you. Is it useful to have a furling jib? Oh yes, very much so. But some boats are with a furling jib as standard, as you would know and expect. But the boats that generally come with a batten jib, like Hobie 16 or an F18, perhaps even a Tornado, which would have a batten jib as standard, you could change that for a jib without battens in, which rolls. But what you're doing is you're trading performance for convenience. And so you certainly wouldn't be able to change from a batten jib to a, let's call it a furling jib, if you're going to be competing anything other than a friendly kind of club racing situation where you can get away with doing whatever you want with your boat. But yeah, so you'd have to use the original style of sails at least to be able to race. But the convenience that having the furling adds is amazing. I could remember back in, I think it was 2008, was the year when Hobie changed the Hobie Tiger from having a half battened jib on a furler to the fully battened jib, and we were doing the World Championships in South Africa near to Cape Town, and it was really windy, and we chartered a boat. The boat was brand new, and we were used to being able to come in, roll the jib up, easy, lovely, no flappy jib, and then to have this brand new jib absolutely flogging to death in the wind because it wouldn't furl. That was a bit emotional, felt bad. So there's definitely positive points for the furling jib, but with a fully battened jib, you do get a bit more performance and a bit more power from the jib, and the jib will be a bit more stable as well. So there we go. I think I've pretty much I think that's a fairly good answer, I think, about furling jibs. Very convenient. One thing you might have to consider if you're changing to a furling jib is, will your bridle wires or forestay still be the right length if you add a furling drum to the bottom? That is a consideration. You'll have to put a swivel at the top of the jib halyard, or where the jib's going to be at the top. Yeah, so some considerations there. Just like to say welcome to everyone who's just tuned in. I'm just scrolling through at the moment. Ewan would love to see a speedrun compilation, edited compilation of epic speeds. Oh yes, that is an absolutely great idea. I think you're onto a winner there. I'm gonna do that. That sounds very good, because getting some use out of the footage that I've already got is obviously a very good idea. Okay, Jason, hi. Do you have any way to check shroud tension without a measuring device? Just got my hands on a Maricat 14, replaced them. Also, will the new shroud stretch over time? I think everything kind of gives a little bit over time, because there are some bits on the shroud which are a little bit like, I think, it's not a shroud, but it's got the same fittings. So on this is a trapeze wire. So if it's under tension, this part, which is called the thimble, which is like the stainless bit, it's going to give a bit over time. Maybe the shroud will get a little bit longer over time, because you've got one of these at both ends, but it won't change that much. I did make, you're not going to believe it, but I did make a video on how to do your rig tension without rig tension gauge, and that was just trying to remember exactly how I did it. The video is from sometime in September, and I thought it was a really good idea where we were doing how much weight you needed hanging on the trapeze to get the different amounts of tension on the rig tension gauge. So the first thing you need to know is what tension do you need on the loose gauge for your Cat 14, or is it more similar to the Hobie 14 where the rig's going to be fairly loose anyway? I'm not familiar with the Cat 14 so much, I have to say. But what we were doing, in fact, I can't remember exactly what we were doing, but we were putting people of various weights on the trapeze at different positions on the boat, and then seeing what rig tension that gave us. So do check out that video. I can't remember what it was. How much rig tension without a gauge might have been what it was called, but worth a look. Yeah, sorry, I can't do you any better there, Jason, all the way from Australia. Hi, James, nice to have you on board. Glad that you could make it with this new time schedule that we're running on. All right, constantly change position here. I've got an awkward bit of sunshine, but on the other hand, at least it's not dark. Okay, so scrolling back. Panos in Patra, just down the road, says he'd recommend the Wind Guru option. Sorry, I've got a very itchy nose today. All right, then we've got Pop Holiday. Cheers from Norfolk, Virginia, on the Chesapeake Bay. What does it say? I currently only have a Hobie. Is that A1 or AL? Trimaran. What? But would love to take a cat out one day. Love watching your channel and the info on catamarans. Yeah, I didn't even know that Hobie had made a trimaran. That is quite interesting. But yeah, nice. And at some point, or perhaps even through the Joyrider TV channel, you can find somebody else who is in your area and see if they'd be keen to take you for a spin on their catamaran. Because one thing about catamaran sailors is everybody loves taking people for a spin on their boats, which is a very nice thing. Okay, Ewan asks, would you accept any trapeze boats for Show Us Your Cat? I would prefer to keep it to catamarans, and we have, as you will have seen, branched out into trimarans a little bit. But if you have got a trapeze boat which people would find interesting and noteworthy, then yes, by all means, send me some pictures and an explanation, and I'll get it on Show Us Your Cat / trapeze boat. On Show Us Your Cat at the moment, if you are thinking of sending some stuff in, I think we're probably on about a 3-week, don't want to call it a backlog, but a 3-week long list of boats that I've already got to feature at the moment. Hello Stefan, guten Tag. We've got Munich. Munich has tuned in. I think we all feel a bit safer now. Stefan is the gentleman who came up with the innovative FX1 easy to get back on with using the trapeze system, which I'm a big fan of. All right, I'm going for Mark III, and I think we've nailed it. Yes. All right, just need to. Hello, how you doing? Yeah, fine, thanks. Okay, scrolling back. Oh, it's beautiful, isn't it? All right, Sean, hello. Oh, this is a great question. What is the difference between port tack and starboard tack? Fantastic, I'm glad you asked. Before I go into the answer, I'll just, there was a video that I made back in, must have been July, I think, where I went through the basic rules of we call it the rules of the road. That's what we've always called it, the rules that you need to stick to when you're sailing your boat, if there's other boats or other things out on the water. So just got into the good spot, but it's all right. All right, let's have a look at the boat. All right, we'll come round. Okay, so of course the boat has got the right side and the left side. In sailing, the right side of the boat is called the starboard side, and the left side of the boat is called the port side. So if you are sailing with, there's many different ways that you can look at it. If you're sailing with the wind, here's the wind, coming over the starboard side of the boat first, then you are said to be on starboard tack. Or if you're sitting in the normal position on the boat and you're sitting on the starboard side of the boat, then you'd be said to be on starboard tack. Those would be perhaps the two main ways of knowing that you're on starboard tack. And in the same way, if the wind is coming over the left side of the boat first, that could be side on or could be from the front if you're sailing upwind, or the back, but still it's coming over that side of the boat first, then you'd be said to be on port tack. And just taking it one stage further, in the rules of sailing, a boat on starboard tack has right of way over a boat on port tack, which means if you're on port tack, you need to keep out of the way. There we go. I hope that answered that one. I like that question. That was a good one. I think this is stuff that people need to know, because it's the rules which are going to stop you from crashing. On the same sort of topic, the two things that are really going to help you to avoid collisions while on your boat, or even if it's not a collision, which two things that could avoid you having some fairly iffy moments where things almost happen, is the first thing is to always know about your surroundings out on the water. This is a great reason to sail a boat with two people, because the crew on the boat is a second pair of eyes, and they should be scanning the water almost at all times, so you know where everyone else is on the water. Let's call this spatial awareness. And then the other thing which is really helpful is thinking ahead. So if you do see another boat or something else on the water, perhaps there is a large buoy or something, perhaps there's a pier, perhaps you sail in a river and there's not so much room to maneuver, then by having a plan early, this means you're less likely to have panicky moments out on the water. And then have a plan, but also if you're dealing with something that is unknown, such as could be another boat, could be somebody water skiing or something, could be another sailing boat, have a plan like, okay, so that other boat is on port tack, we're on starboard tack, but if he alters his course or if he doesn't see us, what are we going to do? Make a plan to avoid sticky moments. Okay. All right, nice question there, Sean. Thank you. Billy from Pericles and Vassia. Okay, yes. You came out this year when it was pretty windy, I believe, if my memory serves me right. Say, oh, here we go. And Panos says to say hi, and he'll see you next season at Wildwind. This is a good place to say hello to people that you've met during the summer. Yeah, nice to have you on board. Lucas, hello Joe. How important is the outhaul on cats and draft adjustments? Do you have any pulley there? Depends on the boat. Like on some of the older designs, like the Hobie 16 or the Hobie 14, where the boom goes, where the bottom of the sail goes into the boom in the track, what we'd call a, what would you call that? A tight-footed sail, a closed-footed sail. Then the outhaul doesn't really have a massive effect, and we haven't really got a particularly sophisticated arrangement of pulling it tight. So all we're doing is pulling it tight, get rid of the creases from the bottom of the sail, and then if it's really, really windy and you want to do everything that you could, then you could really crank it on as tight as you can, but it's not going to have very much of an effect. And in fact, with the outhaul, it's only really going to affect up to the bottom batten, and then after that, the curve in the battens is going to have a more of an effect than the outhaul. On the boats with a loose-footed boom, like everything else pretty much, like the more modern boats, let's say F18 as a standard, then you do have a little bit more control of the shape of the sail. If you have a loose outhaul, it's going to put a lot of draft into the bottom of the sail, which is going to give you a lot of drive, which is good for if you're sailing in waves. But as the wind gets stronger, or if the sea is flat, you don't need to have all that depth in the sail. So having the sail, basically having the bottom of the sail so it's just a little bit flatter than the rest, is about right. And then what we also have is the relationship of the downhaul to the outhaul, because as you pull the downhaul tighter, this will automatically tighten up the outhaul because you're stretching that length there as you pull it down, which means that you don't actually need to alter the outhaul very much at all. On all of my racing boats, what I do is I just have a line coming from the back of the boom, goes through the eye in the sail, and then back through a groove in the back of the boom, and I just have different knots on there. So I'll just put it on one knot. So there I know that the outhaul will definitely be in the right place. So probably just two positions, one for trapeze conditions, one for less than trapeze conditions. There we go. Outhaul. Scrolling back. Okay, Ewan. Tips for buying a trapeze harness. Nice. I know these days it's not quite as easy as it was back in the day to actually go into a chandlery or a shop and try one on. I think having one that fits nicely is very important. And what we find out here is, especially for the, let's say, the more sturdy sized sailor, there are certain brands of trapeze harness that they find more comfortable than others. But for most people, pretty much any brand or style of trapeze harness will be comfortable. And a lot of the time the size will be depending on your height rather than like your trousers, your waist size, let's say. So just pay attention to the height. I dare say they'll all have a some sort of chart on the website that says what size you should get according to your height. And then I'd say don't get sucked in to having a trapeze harness that looks the most fancy, because some of the really fancy ones, they look really nice, but with that fanciness you get more bulk, and you don't want too much bulk on your trapeze harness, which is why we started using these Magic Marine smart harnesses here at Wildwind, because they were, I think they're actually the lowest one in the range from Magic Marine, but it actually turned out that because they're less fancy than the higher up ones, they're less bulky, so you feel a little bit more free and easy to move around the boat, easier to get under the boom, that kind of thing. One other thing when choosing a trapeze harness is make sure it has got a quick release on the hook, because that quick release could make a massive difference if you did find yourself stuck under the boat at any time. There we go, trapeze harnesses. All right, scrolling back. Okay, hi Christian, good to have you on board. Hi Timon. How are you? Yeah, I'm fine. It's a nice day here in Vasiliki. It is absolute glamour. It'd be a really good day for, there's not much wind, so a nice barbecue on the beach. Get some guys down, some tunes, a couple of beers and that. But unfortunately, we are under lockdown regulations, which means I'm probably actually breaking the law right now by not having a mask on. It's a bit tighter now than it was in April, May, because back then they weren't so strict on the masks, whereas now it's even people in cars wearing masks, where I thought the windows would do a good enough job. But anyway, scrolling back. That was just an answer to how are you. Thanks for introducing my catamaran in the last episode. Oh, that's Timon who's got the FX1. Nice. I have another question. You said second trapeze would be worth. Do you think it makes more? Yeah, having the FX1 as a double-handed boat with a double trapeze, that thing goes like an absolute rocket. Double trapezing the FX1, if there's a bit of wind about, just put your dagger boards about halfway up, double trapeze it, get right to the back and absolutely send it and give it the beans, and it absolutely shoots along, because the FX1 as a double-handed boat is very light, because it's only 120 kilos, I believe, which is a very light boat. But it is quite difficult to sail double trapeze because there's not a lot of volume in the back of the boat, which means you're more likely to hit the waves on the back beam of the boat, which makes it more challenging. But the double trapeze, yes, I stick on it there, makes it a lot of fun. Yeah, so I'd definitely go for it. And also, if you're thinking of doing any double trapezing, I think it's a great scheme. Okay, scrolling back. Giacomo, Carly, hi. Today we have to write an essay, but instead I'm watching Joe's live. What am I doing with my life? That is the question that I think everybody should be asking themselves. Perhaps this time, while we're in the period of darkness, everybody should be asking themselves a few questions. What am I doing with my life? Where do I want to see myself in 5 years? Perhaps even in 10 years, perhaps even in 20 minutes. I think it's worth asking these questions because only you know the answers, if anyone. Like it. Timon, sense to buy height adjustable harness. Oh, right, the actual trapeze adjusters. Yeah, I think on a slightly bigger boat like an FX1 where you've got a bit more length, it is worth having the on-the-fly trapeze adjusters like we have on the F-18s, because with the extra length of the boat, as you move towards the back of the boat, you'll be going away from where the trapeze wire is coming from on the mast, so you'll actually start getting higher and higher as you get further back. So with the on-the-fly trapeze adjustment gear, it means you can maintain the correct height, and of course you have more choice there. But there's nothing wrong with just keeping the simple Hobie 16 style, just the dog bone trapeze adjuster, and just go with that to start with. You could upgrade later on if there's there will obviously be some expense involved, so you can upgrade later on to the on-the-fly adjusters. All right, scrolling back. Okay, scrolling back. Damien, tips for winterizing your cat. Yeah, I think we've talked about this before, but basically the main things, if you have to leave your boat outdoors, is definitely take off the trampoline, take off the rudders, and take off as many of the ropes as possible. Anything that's going to be affected and perhaps degrade because of the weather, the elements. The metal parts and the hulls are not going to degrade as much as the soft parts, like the trampoline and the ropes and things. Dropping the mast is, of course, a very good idea because it means less windage on the boat, which means if there's a storm, then the boat is less likely to be blown over. But the more of the boat that you can store indoors, the better. Just keep it out of the weather, because just being exposed to the elements is going to degrade the boat. If you've got a 16 or a 14, then it is a really, really, really good idea once a year, which means storage for the winter, take your boat apart completely. I know it's more work, but if you don't take your boat apart regularly, then eventually it might not come apart at all, because the castings might actually kind of just become really attached to the pylons. All right, scrolling back. If we can just have no further questions unless you're following up on a previous question, that would be ideal, because we're at 48 minutes now. Okay, Jason will send in for Show Us Your Cat so folk can see the married cat. It's a corker from 1981. Been sitting, wow, it's been sitting in someone's workshop for 35 years. The sails are still crispy. Now that is very exciting. This is possibly one of the coolest things that we've had on Show Us Your Cat, is when Scott found I think they were an absolutely brand new set of Hobie 16 sails from the 70s. I think that's possibly one of the coolest things we've had on Show Us Your Cat. That was great. So love those kind of, like, I think we'd call it a barn find if we were talking about cars, but in boat terms, where old stuff is perfectly preserved. Aha, Max. Good afternoon out in Rosenheim. No wind for 10 days now. This plague of no wind. Must be that time of year in Europe. Okay, we've got Agopito, Riz. Hi Joe, I've started to drive cats and they are rapid upwind, but downwind they seem to be slow. Even beam reach. Any tips? Yeah, the main thing with the catamaran sailing, if you're not used to it, is we're never going to sail with the wind from straight behind. We're going to make sure on your boat you've got some wind indicators of some description on the front. You're going to be jealous of mine. Look at these bad boys. that is, I don't know, what's that? Almost 2 feet long of videotape wind indicator. So then what we're looking for on the downwind point of sail is to have our apparent wind. The apparent wind, of course, is the combination of the true wind. So the true wind might be like here from behind the boat, and then our induced wind, which is the wind that we create by going forwards, which might be like this. Well, it will be, actually, it'd be straight like that, wouldn't it, if we're going forwards? So the apparent wind will be the combination of those two winds. And what we're looking for on the downwind point of sail is to have the apparent wind going straight across the boat at 90 degrees. The reason why that is the angle is because that is the deepest we can go downwind, and we still have an airflow over both sides of the sail. If we go any deeper than that downwind, then we'll only have airflow on the inside of the sail, and it won't be so much airflow, it'll be just getting blown along like a tall ship or a yacht or something, and we're not going to get that speed. So that is point number one. Use the apparent wind 90 degrees, no deeper. We then want to have, depending on what type of boat you're sailing, I'm assuming you're sailing with 2 sails, not spinnaker. Don't put the traveller out all the way, perhaps put it like 2/3 of the way out, so that then you can have the main sheet nice and loose, which will give you a lot of twist in the mainsail. That's going to help to get you going a bit quicker as well. And then use the telltales on the sails to make sure the sails are in the sweet spot. On a beam reach, if you're not getting the speed, that is a tricky one to say why that might be. But I would say it could possibly be that your trim is a little bit off with your sail setting, or perhaps a lot of people who are new to catamarans find themselves sitting too far back on the boat as well. So just try to keep the boat flat, so not popping a wheelie or doing an endo, but flat. If you can hear a lot of noise coming from the back of the boat, it probably means you're too far back because you're dragging the rudders, so get a bit further forwards. There we go. Without any further information, that is where we are on that. So no further questions, please, unless you're following up on a previous question. All right, Antoine, my catamaran trailer says I need to sit on my knees so that I can put the spinnaker on the ground. What do you think of that? Yeah, I'm not a great knee sitter personally, because it really hurts my ankles. But for the hoisting and dropping of a spinnaker, I would generally go either standing up or one knee, 1 foot. Standing up if it's not, because you get loads of purchase when you're standing up on either the halyard or the retrieval line, and then long arms. So you're reaching in front as far as you can and then pulling it back, so it's taking you less movements to either hoist or drop the sail. This is good. Yeah, long arms, standing up, or 1 foot, 1 knee. But if you're comfortable on your knees, then you could go kneeling down. But also on your knees, you are more likely to be on one of the lines, or it's going to be more difficult to move around the boat if you are on one of the lines, like the retrieval line or something. So that is what I would suggest in that scenario. Okay, scrolling back. We're just winding this up now, so no further questions, please, unless you do happen to be following up on something previously. Aha, we have Rich on board. Hello, Rich. Rich is from the I'll try to get this right, but I'll probably get it wrong. The International Hobie Class Association. And Rich's been making some very good videos going really in depth on some different topics. So perhaps if Rich wants to put a link or something up there, then you can go and check some stuff out about Hobie 16s, most 16s and 14s, I think. Do you use GoPros exclusively? Any experience with other brands? No, since I've been using GoPros, I've just been GoPro all the way, because I did look a bit into getting the kind of cheap Chinese alternative, but having had some cheap Chinese alternatives in other fields, you come to realise that although they kind of do the same thing and at like maybe half the price, it's never quite as good. Like, even if it's just that the user interface isn't as friendly or as intuitive. So GoPro really are nailing it with the cameras. And I know that DJI, who make the drones, are doing the action cams now as well. But having seen other people's videos on YouTube where they're comparing them, the other cameras do look a little bit more bulky. And what you're getting with the GoPros now is that you're getting the result of all of those years of them developing that product, where somebody else could be making exactly the same camera but using somebody else's current product rather than actually getting that experience themselves. So I'm definitely on with the GoPro at this time, until somebody wants to send me a different camera to try, and then I'll try it and then we can do a comparison. I think all the footage is going to be the same, give or take, but with the new GoPros, the stabilization is amazing. And for the on-land stuff, I've started filming in 4K, even though it's getting compressed down to 1080, because I think you definitely see the difference, even after it's been compressed. So that is what I think there, Rich. Chris in Texas says, poo on the masks. They don't work that well. I think if you're in the bathroom and you do find yourself short, then could be. Oscar, hi, nice to have you on board. Graham, Joe, please can you sail a laser? Yes, I can. You may have seen in the summer I did a video called Is Laser Sailing Fun? Of course it is. But that had quite a big response. Disappointingly, that actually had a bigger response than any of my catamaran sailing videos. But I think that's just because of the number of people who like lasers. I was going to do another video following up from that, but by the time I was going to do that, we ran out of wind conditions, and now I haven't got any lasers available. So that is going to wait until May. Thanks. Oh, Oscar, also, the Hobie 20 I bought needs bought some weeks ago. Okay, is really hot. Oh, yeah. Now we're talking. Okay, I think Agapito says, I think you shouldn't put your spinnaker on the ground, but sitting on your knees is garbage. It's all a question of taste and what you're into. I think let's not call it garbage, because for some people, everybody's different. Some people have got, like me, my ankles can't take the sitting on the knees thing, whereas for other people, perhaps maybe they've got a high centre of gravity and standing up is not going to work for them, and so on. Everybody's different. So that's what makes the world such an interesting place. Oscar, it's a Hobie 20 miracle. Nice. Antoine, thank you for the tips for the foiling laser of 2 weeks ago. Now, foiling is really fun. Yes, it is. Now, foiling a laser, that is a different level of fun. That is really good fun. All right, Sean, I can see myself in Vasiliki next year. Nice. I will be waiting. I'll be doing some, I should think, early season some specific Formula 18 training weeks. You're not going to believe this, but we've now got 5 Tigers. What? That is crazy. So be doing some Formula 18 training weeks with 5 Tigers. That is going to be mega. We're using the Tigers because they're very durable, very standard, and as long as they're all the same, it doesn't matter. You don't need an accurate evolution on a training week, unless the only reason you'd need an accurate evolution for training would be if you happen to have one that is your boat and that's what you're going to be sailing. But in general terms, all the Formula 18s, you can apply the same fundamentals to, and you can learn your way around the course, how to do better starts, mark roundings, all that kind of thing. Tom, hello. What would be a good boat for a light solo sailor who wants to sail with a spinnaker? How much weight is needed for sailing an FX1 and writing? Wow, this is a good question. Single-handed spinnaker catamaran. I think if you've got a very, very juicy budget, I would say the Formula 16 would be absolutely fantastic. That if I was going to sail a catamaran solo and I didn't happen to have this fleet of boats, if I was going to go out and buy one and I could get anything at all, then I would either go for an A-class, which is of course no spinnaker but foiling, or an F16, which you can sail equally with 2 people or 1 person, and you just don't take the jib, sail it single-handed, and it's a very good single-hander. And then for the FX1, it's very similar to the Formula 16 in how it works and everything, but it's an older design, it's a bit heavier, not quite as glamorous, but still absolutely fantastic. To sail one, it just depends on how much wind you want to sail it in. But if you want to sail in 15 knots, for example, then you probably want to be at least 60 kilos. And then to right one from a capsize, you're going to, if there is 0 wind, very difficult to capsize one in 0 wind. If there's 0 wind, you'd probably need about 120, 130 kilos because the mast is taller than that of a Hobie 16. So there you need the bag to fill with water to help with the writing. There we are. Okay, we're definitely up to our time limit now, so we're into quick fire question answering now. What is the capsize potential of an 18 versus 16 sailing solo a concern in heavy wind? This is a good question. The 18 has got much more volume than the 16, and it's less likely to capsize because of that extra volume, makes the boat more stable. You've also got a furling jib on the 18, which means you could just put the jib away, giving you less to worry about. Oscar, next year I'll send some speeds for the speed stick. Now there isn't enough wind. Nice. Mr. H, good morning out of Minnesota, where the snow is on the ground and we're still sailing. Oh my goodness, that deserves a tip of the hat and some sort of medal. Lewis Taylor is Wild Wind Hiring. Yes, I'm actually responsible for all of the recruitment here of sailing instructors. I'll be starting the recruitment right at the start of January. So the best thing that you can do if you want to work here is get in touch at the start of January with the information I'll need is what qualifications do you have, what experience do you have, both catamaran and monohull sailing. That's experience of sailing and experience of teaching. And then, very important, is what dates will you be available? And then we can take it from there. But the start of January is the time to get in touch. You can email me just on the normal email address, and then I'll probably email you back on the Wild Wind email address. But yes. All right, Timon, where can I buy a good Jenica with the boom? Cool. I think, oh, you're in Holland, aren't you? I think you should go and see Johan at Hobie Cat Holland, because that guy, he's got a lot of stuff. He's in Noordwijk. Yeah, so I think the website address I think it's catparts.nl. So catparts.nl, go and see Johan, tell him that I sent you, and he will look after you. I'm sure that he'll be able to steer you on the right course. I wouldn't say that you want to get brand new stuff, because it is very expensive to get a whole spinnaker kit. Is going to cost like probably €2,000 or something, if not more. So if Johan's got something used in stock, he's got so many used boats coming in and out of his shop all the time, and he does a great job in refurbishing stuff as well. So if you are in Holland, or even in Europe anywhere, Hobie Cat in Holland, which is in Noordwijk, and I think that's called catparts.nl, or it might actually be called Hobie Cat NL, but there you are. Okay, all right, and thus concludes today's Q&A session, which I think for those of you who were here last week as well, you might agree that this one was much better because it wasn't dark, and it was just very nice. So thanks very much to everybody for tuning in, yeah, I'll be back. Oh, thanks, Robin. Thanks, yeah, and you. Have a nice evening. Yeah, and I don't think there's any ifs or anything. And by the way, I'm just in the process of putting together an exclusive Tornado t-shirt to put in the online store. I should have that. I'll try to get that done tomorrow. Yeah, thanks everyone. And I hope you all have a great day too. Yeah, so do check out totaljoyrider.com for some very exciting stuff. Christmas is coming, and it all makes very good gifts. Oh, and by the way, I didn't read it out, but James is offering up a vinyl Hobie 16 trampoline, I believe. Sorry, I don't know how I missed that one. That is important. So get in touch with James, who's J Cowboy on YouTube. You can message him, and if you're looking for a trampoline for your 16 and you're in the States. Thank you very much. See you next week with some more. If not, see you on Sunday with Show Us Your Cat.